In a forgotten village nestled between jagged cliffs and swaying pines, four brothers returned to their childhood home after a year and a half apart. Their reunion, meant to be joyful, was tinged with sorrow. Their father, a wise and once renowned trader, had passed away. He had left behind more than just memories. His legacy included four magnificent horses, proud, powerful creatures that symbolized each stage of his life. The eldest brother, Khalid, was sharp-witted and ambitious. As the firstborn, he had often led the others, sometimes with care, sometimes with force. The second, Hamza, was quiet and methodical, a planner by nature who rarely spoke without calculation. The third, Farid, lived more in the clouds than on the ground. He dreamt of things no one else saw, wrote poetry on bark, and believed the wind carried secrets. The youngest, Rahim, soft-hearted and loyal, had barely crossed into manhood, but bore the deepest emotional bond with their late father. The father's will was simple but cryptic. "Let the horses remind you of your unity. Do not let them divide you." It was a line heavy with meaning, but also one that would soon be tested. When the brothers entered the old stable, they found only 3 horses standing. The fourth, the strongest black stallion, their father's favorite, lay lifeless on the hay. A fever had claimed it. Grief swelled into tension. Now, with only 3 horses left, how could 4 brothers divide the inheritance fairly? Ideas clashed like swords. Khalid insisted he should choose first by seniority. Hamza wanted to calculate the value of each horse and divide accordingly. Farid suggested an odd ritual involving stones and songs. Rahim simply listened, watching the fabric of their bond fray. That night, an old traveller arrived in the village, dressed in layered rags and leaning on a twisted staff. He spoke like a man who'd seen the edges of the world. The brothers, out of respect or perhaps desperation, brought him bread and water. When he learned of their dilemma, he scratched his beard and said, "You cannot divide a living thing by measure, but you can divide its value." He offered a suggestion: sell 1 horse, share the money equally, and rotate the remaining 3 among themselves as needed. Fair in logic, imperfect in sentiment, yet it felt workable. The brothers agreed. Rahim, considered the most trustworthy and least confrontational, was chosen to take 1 horse to a neighboring village to sell. At dawn, with mist clinging to the earth, Rahim saddled the grey mare and rode off. His path wound through Andara forest, a place where old legends whispered of spirits and shadow beasts. As twilight painted the sky, Rahim found a clearing and made camp. He tied the horse, ate a dry meal, and lay under a canopy of stars. But deep in the night, he was stirred by a distant chant, not human, not animal, but something other. The trees leaned inward, the wind stopped. The horse was gone. Panic gripped Rahim. He stumbled through the underbrush, following faint hoofprints to a rock face where a yawning cave opened like the mouth of an ancient beast. He called out, but the forest gave no answer. Terrified and alone, he returned at dawn. "The horse!" he stammered to his brothers. "It vanished. Into a cave." Khalid seethed. "You were careless," Hamza accused. "Or you sold it and hid the coin." Farid whispered, "Maybe. The cave called it." Despite suspicion, they followed Rahim back to the cave, and there it was, vast, breathless, and cold. But more astonishing than the cave was a hole before it, a round pit, perfectly formed, deep as if it reached the belly of the earth. Each brother looked in. "A thieves' tunnel," said Khalid. "A natural sinkhole," countered Hamza. "A passage to something forgotten," murmured Farid. Rahim felt something stir inside him, not fear, but a strange longing. Then a familiar voice echoed. The old traveller had followed them, though none saw him approach. "Your father once told me, a man who cannot share a horse cannot hold a family." "What are you saying?" asked Rahim. The old man simply nodded toward the cave. "Enter." Hesitantly, the brothers stepped inside. The darkness breathed. Walls shimmered with ancient markings, horses with wings, eyes with flames, stars falling into bowls. At the center stood the missing horse, tied to a tree glowing with ethereal light. But between them and the horse stood a hooded rider in black. silent and unmoving. Then, the cave echoed with a voice like stone cracking. 4 come. 1 seeks truth. 3 seek claim. Khalid stepped forward. Return our horse. No reply. Hamza offered. We bring coin. What is your price? Still silence. Farid spoke. If this is a riddle, let us solve it with unity. Finally, Rahim said softly, the horse is only flesh, but we are blood. I give up my share. Let peace be the only treasure we keep. The rider moved. His hand rose. Light flared from the tree, revealing memories etched into the cave itself. The brothers as children, running, laughing, riding branches as pretend horses. A younger Khalid guiding Rahim, Hamza building toys from scraps, Farid singing nonsense songs. The father watching with love. The horse returns, said the voice, when what was lost is found. Then, the rider mounted the horse, galloped toward the far wall, and vanished as the cave faded like mist. The ground trembled, rocks fell. The brothers fled just as the cave collapsed behind them. They returned to the village changed. The horse was gone, but the bitterness was gone too. In time, they built a well where the stable once stood. Around it were carved. The tale of the cave spread. Travelers came, songs were sung, and some say, deep in Andara forest, the black stallion still runs, not for any man, but for unity itself. Years passed, and the brothers aged. Khalid became a village chief, wise and stern. Hamza built a school to teach logic and fairness. Farid composed ballads and riddles that children still recite. And Rahim? He became the keeper of stories. Around every fire, he told of the horse that vanished, the cave that spoke, and the family that chose peace over possession. Now, whenever a traveler reaches that village and drinks from the well, they are told to listen carefully, for those who truly hear may catch the distant echo of hooves and the whisper of a voice older than time.